You know what my favorite part about the holidays is? Bullshit.
When you're a parent and ask your kid what they want for Christmas or their birthday or whatever, and all they tell you is video games, what do?
Bye.
If you're not all that knowledgeable on the medium and want to surprise someone with a video game, knowing the difference between a good game and the scum of the earth isn't exactly the easiest thing to do, especially when all you have to go off is the box art. You just have to go out to a store and just stare at all the video games and eventually just pick one out at random because they all look the same to you. And next thing you know, you've just bought your kid Pac-Man Fever and suddenly you're not on speaking terms anymore.
Should've just gotten him a sock.
That's where the birth of digital game stores comes in to save the day. And now you can just hand your kid a 20, they can shove it into their console, browse the store, and buy a game themselves. It's genius!
Except I don't think the kids even know what they want half the time.
It's not like a kid is gonna be much better at judging the quality of a game at face value either. They're just gonna come hobbling up to you asking if they can buy a game, and since you don't know what you're doing either, you're just gonna check if the game's rating is age appropriate and say go ahead. And bam, your kid just wasted $5 on garbage.
I really don't want to make a habit of doing this. But I just can't help myself. It's too fun. Welcome to a new installment of 5 and Below on the Switch eShop. You know the game at this point. Switch eShop, one game, $5 or less, go into it blind, it's shit. Dopamine.
I mean, the eShop is a breeding ground for low-quality games. You just have to scroll through it until something catches your eye. And come to think of it, this is exactly what I did as a kid. I only really ever bought a bunch of garbage on the Nintendo DS iShop, though. I would just kind of browse, and then if I saw anything remotely interesting to a 5-year-old me, I would buy it. And that's how I ended up with games like Earthsaver and 10-Second Run. It's on this?!
Dude!
10-Second Run is this little game where you run for 10 seconds. It was released under DSiWare, Nintendo's branding for digital-only games on the Nintendo DS, similar to WiiWare games on the Wii. But this is just a pretty simple game where you have very short levels to complete and a 10-second time limit. It's not low quality by any means, it's got that simple, quick pick-up-and-play nature to it. But there were also definitely higher quality games on the DSi shop too. But here we have the sequel to it.
I'd just like to say, what are the f***ing chances of this? Not only that there even is a sequel to this dumb little game that I'm somehow nostalgic for, but also that I even found it buried under all this trash. This is my third time looking through the shop, and I'm only just now finding this? I feel like I'm obligated to play this. I mean, I could spend a little more time looking around to see if there's something brand new, but nope, it's too late, I already purchased.
So this is 10-Second Run Returns. I'm sure lots of people who see this will go, returns from what? Not knowing there was a DSiWare prequel.
But those people, am I right? I mean, it's their own damn fault for being so uncultured.
This is the same game. Okay, that's not actually true. The levels are all completely new, and there are some new moves, but it's the exact same concept as the DSiWare original. Which is good. If the game called itself 10-Second Run and gave you 11 seconds instead, then I would have some things to say about that. So yeah, this is 10-Second Run Returns. You're given a little platforming challenge to beat in under 10 seconds, and it's pretty fun. There are these little collectible stars to go for at each level, which can make the game a lot more interesting since you still only have 10 seconds to get to the goal, but now you have to try and figure out how to work the stars into your path. And trying to get all 3 of them in some of these levels is pretty intense. I'm talking milliseconds to spare, which makes it that much better to complete. The stars unlock more skins for your little stick man, which are pretty cute, as well as unlocking more levels, so eventually you'll have to go back and grab some if you missed any if you want to progress. That being said, this game is pretty easy, even if you go for all the stars. I only ended up having trouble with the last few levels, which require some pretty tight platforming, but the game controls well enough. You can run, jump, and hold Y to sprint, which actually makes you jump higher than normal jumping, which is kind of annoying in some cases. That is a feature in other platformers, but it usually takes a second to get to top speed so you can get a higher jump, whereas in 10-Second Run, if you move and you are holding run, you will instantly be at top speed. So I found myself dying because I wanted to do a shorter jump, but I was accidentally holding run. Speaking of dying, it's not too bad. You're given a menu every time you die, but respawning is pretty quick, so it's not too annoying. Although it just makes me wish it was more like Celeste, where dying would immediately put you back at the start. These are short challenges. I don't need to see a menu every time I die, especially if I die near the beginning.
I suppose it's fine. I mean, we can't all be perfect like Celeste.
The other new addition to the moveset is the wall jump, which I completely forgot about until the last couple levels. But I'm pretty sure the developers did too, because the levels really aren't built with the wall jump in mind until the last couple levels. There's just not any situations where you would actually want to use it. But regardless, I was able to get through the whole game in like an hour, and it was still pretty enjoyable. Or at least I was able to get through half the game in an hour, because once you beat level 50, you unlock 50 extra hidden levels. Their words, not mine. I'm not really sure why they tried to keep these levels hidden, especially since you could still see them before you unlock them. There they are down there. But there's not really anything to differentiate them from the first 50 levels. I mean, they're harder, sure, and I guess there are more levels that are built vertically than the first 50, so there's more uses for the wall jump, but there's nothing really special about them past that. They just progress from the difficulty of level 50, so why keep them hidden?
Well, why do people think breeding giraffes with ants would make the giraffes shorter?
Another big aspect of this game is multiplayer. You can actually get up to 4 people to race in these levels. Although, weirdly enough, there are 2 separate modes for 2-player versus and 2 to 4-player versus, and I'm not actually sure what the difference is outside of allowing for more players. So when I say a big aspect of this game, I just mean 2/3 of the menu options. Another weird thing is that some single-player modes from the first game were just cut entirely. There was this marathon mode where you just played through all the levels with no time limit and the deaths counted up, and this mode actually did just put you back at the start of the level when you died with no menu or anything, and my god, this is how you do it! And there was also this training mode, which is the exact same thing as normal mode, except the time counted up. I'm just not really sure why these modes aren't here in any capacity. I mean, it couldn't have been that hard to implement them.
Regardless, that was 10-second round returns, and it was so much better than the other games I've played on this segment. It's just a simple pick-up-and-play platformer, kind of some dumb fun if you need it. And nothing super challenging, nothing super deep, but it's a good time overall. Again, there are way better games on the Switch eShop that will give you way more enjoyment, but if you're just looking for a cheap, simple time waster, then this ain't bad at all. Well, suppose I gotta start wrapping this year up somehow. Kinda underwhelming to end on a $5 eShop game, but what are you gonna do? I've done a lot of things this year that I'm super proud of. I made my first conspiracy theory, tried my hand at cooking, got a job almost, solved a mystery, broke my closet, went outside, broke my closet again, bought a weed, got put on house arrest, had a fever dream after getting blackout drunk, taught someone how to play Smash, and of course, bought a couple horrible games on the Switch eShop. It was pretty action-packed, but I feel like I just need a capper, right? A final send-off. I got it. I put a flyers around my town asking if people wanted to come over to play Monopoly for my Christmas party. Spirit of Christmas, am I right?